Hi everybody! I am starting with a sketchbook today, and this is basically an entire video on intuitive abstract collage. I knew I wanted to do a collage. I got out my big bin. I had to upsize my bin for my small scraps. I got out all my small scraps and decided I would sort them into colors that made me happy. And rainbow colors always make me happy. So I started pulling things out, and then I started sorting them by color, the scraps that I pulled out, and that became my subsection of collage scraps that I pulled from to make this collage. You can see at the beginning, I'm just pulling out anything and everything that looks good in that moment. At a certain point, I'm just either feel done or I have too much that I know I won't be able to use all of it anyway. So then I stop. I encourage you to pull out a limited supply of collage scraps if you are looking at a giant bin like I have. Don't try to do a collage with everything you have in front of you if you're feeling overwhelmed. If you're not feeling overwhelmed, go for it. But if you're feeling overwhelmed with too many choices, you need to take a step back, pull out some that feel interesting in that moment that you happen to be working on it. In my case, I sorted them by color. You can sort them by texture. You can sort them by pattern. You can sort them by warm and cool colors. You can sort them by stripes and dots. Whatever floats your boat in this circumstance. I also made a white and black pile because I do love a good white and black high contrast collage scrap. And I'm also excluding some, so I'm putting some back in the bin that just feel out of place given my new kind of rainbow situation I've got going on. Most of these scraps are homemade papers. One of the scraps right there is actually my kids' homework writing. Oh no, that's not. It's not homework writing. That is actually from a punishment where they kept throwing things up on our roof, like his sister's shoes and raw eggs and glass measuring cups and things. So I made him write down a whole bunch of times, "I will not throw things on the roof." Not my finest, my proudest parenting moment. But I thought it was a pretty fair consequence. Anywho, the papers, I'm putting them in their baby book type binder that I have for them because it is really funny. I was just really, really not happy in the moment with all the stuff on the roof. So I have a very few magazine scraps in this pile, but I definitely have some. And this is, as you can see, a bag of limes. So this green netting, for whatever reason, it really appeals to me in certain circumstances, and this is one of those circumstances. It's nice that it gives a pop of color, and it's also great texture. It's a little tricky to get glued down, but this one wasn't bad, so I must be getting good at my technique. I have enough reps in, apparently, to get my netting to stick well. My thoughts at this point were to go right down the rainbow colors. So blue, green, yellow, orange, red. But it didn't look interesting enough to me. Some of those other greens felt too forced. At this point, I knew I was going to collage over that netting, and I wanted to make sure it was very dry before I did that. So the stuff didn't start sliding around. This page I'm adding now, this piece of a page I'm adding now is from a jelly print that I made a long time ago. So even though the netting is only sticking out maybe half an inch, the fact that the texture is underneath that entire paper scrap I just put down does show through. I don't know if it shows through in the video close up, you guys will let me know, but in real life it shows up. So there's always history as you add in more layers. You can actively see me abandoning my going down the rainbow colors path here. Because I have this black piece with the small translucent circles, I'm trying to figure out what I want underneath it so that that will show through, or because I know that will show through the under layers. Doesn't have to be something underneath, but if you're going to put something underneath, it can be helpful to know what you want to put down. So you'll see in this case, I have something underneath for part of it with this dark green. But then there's also a great deal of white. I really like that because I like the subtlety of the dark green with the black, and I like having the white with the black as such a high contrast. So it is a win-win in my book. Love a pop of orange. It's such a happy collage for me. Love to know what you guys think. But for me, the colors are so vibrant and cheerful. It just feels like there's sunshine in here. Maybe it's the man's shirt on the far left at the beach that helps. It just feels very light and effervescent. I was second thinking this blue piece, it says the realist, because if you have a collage with no words, and then all of a sudden you put words in, especially just 2 words that are large font, those words make a big impact on your piece because they immediately pull focus because there are words, and then you can read something and it's familiar. So I wanted to cover up at least part of it, and at least partially, so that the words didn't stand out quite so much. Because those words in particular weren't, I mean, I probably do think of myself as a realist, but that wasn't anything consciously that I was trying to make art about in a purposeful way. That's a long way of saying the words weren't important for this piece to me in that moment, but I wasn't opposed to them either. So adding that somewhat sheer piece of black tissue paper, you can see through it, so you can still read the word realist, but it's not as noticeable. Just with one layer over the top of part of it. You can see I was looking for a space to put that little piece of olive green. Trying to see how much orange I could fit in here. Really liked having a smaller piece of lighter orange. I tried to replicate that with some Neocolor crayons. When I watch these videos back and do my voiceovers, it really entertains me when I see the piece that I kept trying to fit in. And ultimately, I know I never fit it in, right? So that blue wide tooth comb looking piece never made it in, but I didn't stop me from trying. There are just certain pieces that I keep trying and trying and trying to get in, and it just doesn't work out. I don't throw the pieces away though. I still keep thinking maybe they just haven't found their art yet, which is entirely possible. All right, so now I'm covering over this word even more. So you see how pushing that back, even though you can probably still read it if you're up close, pushing it back behind those large blue shapes really makes it less noticeable. And I still love that piece of light orange paper right there, which gives a little bit more dimension to the other orange piece that was already there. Little scrap of paper that says meat. No reason. I just liked it. This one still feels so happy to me. And this is perhaps the happiest edition. This iridescent plastic sheeting that I have from a gift bag. I've never used anything like this in a collage to my knowledge, but it was perfect for this one. It feels very rainbow-like, and since my initial intention was to have this be rainbow colors, which it kind of ended up being, but it very in a non-rainbow way, and then adding this piece in to go over, so you can't tell right here, but it's very translucent, so you can see everything underneath it, but in the light, right, it shows up this iridescent green-blue color. And I feel like you can't be sad if something's iridescent. I feel like it's just a fact that it's a happy color, texture, whatever it is. Looking at my teeny tiny scrap box now. So trying to add some of that magenta to make it more of a rainbow. or at least to represent all the colors. This is just me trying to get more medium underneath the cellophane. So I had no idea where this was going to go when I started it. I knew I wanted it to be, or I thought I wanted it to be rainbow colored with rainbow colored pieces, which it does have. However, it's in such a different way than I could have predicted. And I'm so happy with how it turned out, and ended up being one of my favorite collages that I've made this year. And I just love the cellophane. I would have poo-pooed you had you suggested that was going to be the case. I'd been like, no, that's not the case. But totally is. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you haven't subscribed, I would love you to subscribe so that I can send you new videos every Sunday. Thank you so much for watching.